Battletech enthusiasts. I'm also going to now discuss the what actual mechs to buy. Now, you can, let's say you have a $500 budget versus a $100 budget to just get a spread of as nice a set of mechs as you can. Now, you could just buy a starter kit, those are good, but this is now if you're talking about metal vintage mechs. So for a good spread, for if you have $500 to spend, you would want to get the following mechs. You want to get each of the categories of mechs. There's like 7 different categories of mechs, so you want to get some from each category so you can have a good spread, and also some from each different weight class, or generally from across different weight classes. And how you do that, so in the brawler category, that is your frontline tank, you're out there in the front getting hand-to-hand melee combat, you want to get an atlas. You want to make sure you get an atlas. You also want, that's will be like $10 or so. An awesome, roughly $10. A thunderbolt, you want to get the old IP violation one. That's about $20. A hunchback you can probably get for like $10. And maybe an urban mech for another $10. That kind of gives you a whole spread across different weight classes. For your bodyguard, it's basically the same thing. Those same mechs can function as your bodyguards, except for the urban mech can't. It's too slow. Now for your hunter class, you want to get a Zeus, that's about $10. A dragon, that's at $10. A cicada is around $10, and a Jenner is also around $10, and these can also double as bodyguards too. Now for your LRM and ranged support, you would want to get a longbow. That'll cost you around $40, depending on condition. And you'll make sure you get the IP violation one, not a respin or a reseen version. Then you want to get a catapult. You want to get a blackjack, and a Jaeger mech, and an archer. And for the archer, make sure you get an IP violation one again, not a reseen, reprint type. You want to get the original, if you can. And that archer will cost you about $20. The other ones will cost you about $10 each. So far the brawlers, we should have cost you around $60. The hunters, about $40. And the ranged should cost you about $90 for that just single spread. Now for spotters, you want to get 2 locusts, about $10 each, a wasp and a stinger, that is the original IP violation versions. These are all IP violation mechs. Those wasps and stingers will go for about $20 a piece if they're in good condition, maybe $10 if they're really poorly painted or damaged in some way. It's hard because they're a single piece, so you'll spend about $60 on spotters. A niche mech, get a fire starter. It doesn't really need to be any IP violation one. It's such a niche device, and it's not really that valuable, so you just buy Iron Wind or something for $10. For space control, now here is where you have the most dynamic range and price, but if you're going to spend $500, you might as well get the good ones. So get a Battle Master. Make sure it's one of the original old prints, the ones that have lead in it, maybe. A Warhammer, same story. The Battle Master you can probably get for $10. The Warhammer, you probably have to pay $20. A Marauder will probably be about $60. And a Stalker you can probably get for $10. So you'll end up spending like $100. The Stalker I'm listing as Space Control, but it's actually a Brawler. It can also be Space Control too. But you have enough Brawlers already in the Brawler pile, so I'm going to just include it here as an option here. So it's about $100 in the Space Control. And finally, you want to spend about $85 or so on vehicles, and maybe $20 on infantry. So for your vehicle budget, you want to get 2 LRM carriers. You should be able to get them for $10 each. Maybe even get a special deal. You get $10 for 2 if you buy Iron Wind or something. 2 demolishers. Now these tend to be more expensive and kind of highly desirable. You want to get old ones if you can, so maybe $15 each. You want to get at least 2 warriors. You might be able to get them for $10 each, but sometimes they'll be more. And you'll want to get a Karnov transport. Just get Iron Wind. No one really cares about the old ones. So $15 maybe. In infantry, you'll want to get at least $20 worth of infantry. That should give you many, many groups of infantry. You get lots and lots of infantry. So you will have spent maybe $85 on your vehicles and another $15-20 on infantry. So that should roughly round out your $500-ish budget. Now, let's say you only have $100 and you want to get a nice collection to get started with. Again, you want to get, now you have to be more cost effective. So you can't go for a Marauder because it's like $60 right there. So to be cost effective, you'd want to pick maybe the following spread: the Atlas, the Awesome, and the Hunchback. That'll cover you both for Brawler and Bodyguard. A Dragon and a Jenner, just because that makes a really good Kurita combo, and also their Hunters. Then for your LRMs, go for a Catapult, a Blackjack, and a Jaeger mech, just because those tend to be low demand in real world space, in real world dollars, whereas longbows and archers tend to be high demand and high cost. Then get a Locust as a spotter, skip the niche fire starter, and then just so you can get a cool mech, get a Battle Master, and that's the cheapest of the kind of the space control mechs that's not a stalker, and it's kind of one of the iconic old mechs. So that'll cover you for $100. So you get the Atlas, the Awesome, Hunchback, a Dragon, a Jenner, Catapult, Blackjack, Jägermech, a Locust, and a Battle Master. So you could have enough mechs there. You can pretty much make any combination that you want. You can have assault mechs, heavy mechs, light mechs, small scale battles, large scale battles, medium scale battles. You're a little light on the scouts, but you probably don't need to worry too much about that. I mean, if you're going to play Battletech with someone in just one game or something, you're going to probably whip out some big ones. So anyway, that's how to get started and how to be cost effective on a budget. Oh, some miscellaneous equipment that you want to get if you're just starting and you want to just buy it all immediately so you don't have to like slowly figure it out over time. Get yourself an ultrasonic parts cleaner. You can get one, a Chinese one, off eBay, probably for, I don't know, maybe $50 for the cheapest one. Just ultrasound agitates. Make sure it's big enough to fit a like a mason jar in it. You'll have to kind of figure out how to guess that, but don't get like a really small one. It has to be big enough that you can fit a mason jar in it, so you can put some working fluid in the mason jar and then just fill the ultrasound tank with water. That way you can use chemicals if you want. You'll also want some Simple Green, just a household cleaner. You can kind of justify that easily. Super glue, you probably have some around, but you want to have some. Gel super glue I think works well because it does not run all over the place and tends to get less on your fingers. Then you want to get something called a pin vise, or a hand-operated manual drill, a very small hand-operated drill. And that's if you want to, like, you'll want to drill holes and pin mechs when parts break. You may not know what you need that for yet, but that's just something to remember that you might want to get. And when your mechs break, you might want that. Then you also want a few basic paints and brushes, but don't buy a kit. Instead, look at one of my painting tutorials and pick the paints based on one of my painting tutorials. If you want to play Steiner, I suggest that one, or Davian, I suggest that one. Buy only the paints specific to the mechs you want to paint. Do not buy a painting starter kit, no matter how convenient and tempting they are, because you will end up not using it, or if you do, you'll just end up with crappy paint jobs. So just buy only what you're going to use. And that's miscellaneous bits.